Hey everybody, well, right before the official release of Diablo 4, it looks like Blizzard has released a fairly hefty, pretty significant balance patch for the game. This nerfs basically every single S tier build, as well as buffs some of the underperforming builds and underperforming champions that weren't exactly up to snuff. So I 100% think this is a great idea. I think ARPGs are plagued constantly by S tier builds kind of ruining the game, and people very easily being able to break the game and make it way too easy by just min-maxing a few things. Blizzard has seemed to be on top of their game lately, which is a bit weird for them, considering I meme them as the slowest balancing company out there. Instead, they've been on top of their game and basically used every build guide and streamer and stuff like that to find the S tier builds, and has whacked them pretty significantly. So whether or not you agree or disagree, and if you do agree or disagree with, this sort of balancing, make sure to leave a comment. But, do know the game's not even officially launched yet, so even if you are mad, suck it. I definitely think this is a good idea, and I think they should continue to do bi-weekly balance changes like this. But so basically what they're targeting here are the S tier builds. They're targeting player scaling durability, because durability actually got too high in the late game rather than not too high due to some Paragon strategies. And in particular, Necromancer players, you might find this one amusing. They're targeting late game minion survivability. That was an issue that a lot of people thought was going to be an issue. It ended up being an issue, and Blizzard has responded fairly rapidly to it. So first up, we have Barbarian. Barbarian saw the largest nerfs, at least in my opinion. Challenging Shout, the damage reduction gain from skill points has been reduced from 4% down to 2%. Barbarian survivability got a little bit too much. Now, do remember that they gave Barbarian 10% damage reduction after the betas, after they noticed that it was too difficult for Barbarian to level, that they were taking too much damage, etc. Unfortunately, after they gave Barbarian a 10% flat class damage reduction, the late game builds, then specializing in damage reduction, ended up taking too little damage. So since the first betas, Barbarian will be taking less damage early game and less damage while leveling, but now in the late game, with the nerf to Challenging Shout, they'll actually be taking more damage. I want to remind everybody, if you want to put this on in the background and use this as a podcast, I'm going to be going through every single change. Now, I haven't played the game that much. I'm level 52 right now, so I guess I have played the game a little bit, right? But I haven't played every class. I've only played Druid, so I've watched some videos. I've looked at some stuff, but I don't know everything. So I'm going to go over this, but use this as a podcast because I can't go through this too quickly. I need to stop and try to explain things both to myself and to you guys, okay? Okay, so Barbarian, the damage reduction from Challenging Shout has been reduced. That's per point. That's not the initial talent. Bold Chieftain's Aspect. Now, Bold Chieftain's Aspect, I had to look this up to kind of remind myself, but I'll remind you guys too. Basically, whenever you cast a shout skill, its cooldown is reduced per nearby enemy up to a maximum of 12 seconds. Now, the cooldown reduction from nearby enemies has been reduced to about a third, slightly more than a third of what it used to be, and the maximum cooldown reduction has gone from 12 seconds to 6 seconds. So there were many builds for Barbarian that relied on stacking cooldown reduction and then using this aspect and other aspects to generate rage on shouts and to just generally get their shouts to effectively 0 cooldown. In addition to that, coming up next, the other S tier build, I should say other aspect of this S tier build was aspect of the Dire Whirlwind. Now, in addition to making their shouts effectively 0 cooldown, they would then use Dire Cooldown and the rage generation of using their shouts to then Whirlwind's critical strike chance was increased for each second it was channeled. That's basically what this ability did. The amount of critical chance you get per second of channel has been reduced from 5 to 10 to 3 to 8. So you will generate less critical strike per channel. That's not the important part. The important part is the maximum critical strike bonus has been reduced from 20 to 40% to 9 to 24%. So almost, not quite, but almost half as much is what you'll get from the critical strike chance. So in other words, you will be able to shout significantly less And if you stay in Whirlwind, it will not get as much critical strike chance as it used to do. Now there's some item changes. These are to Gore's Devastating Grips. I'm not even going to pretend to know what this does. Basically, this is a unique item that gave a lot of damage to Whirlwind. The amount of damage it gives to Whirlwind is being slashed, brutalized. Less than 1/3 the damage that it used to give to Whirlwind will still maintain to Whirlwind. Everybody got that? So effectively for Barbarian, throughout all these changes, shouts have been massively nerfed. Well, at the very least, maybe not base shouts, but using aspects to buff shouts, using items to buff whirlwinds has been reduced significantly. The ability to get effectively 0 cooldown infinite shouts to go infinite rage has been reduced significantly. Blizzard had said, and continue to say, use a goddamn left click to generate resources. Stop finding ways to cheat out not using a left click. Now, they're okay with you not using a left click so long as it's also not on an ability. Whirlwind has been specifically changed multiple times now to not go infinite. So people finding ways to make Whirlwind go infinite, they have said, effectively, look, that is breaking the game. You're not supposed to be doing that. Whirlwind is supposed to be a high damage ability that you use for less time than you would in previous Diablo games. That's their vision for the ability. I think that's a good vision. Me personally, I think that's an amazing vision. I hate just sitting in Whirlwind just woo, 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 woo. That's boring. That's stupid. I'm sorry if you disagree. I'm not really sorry, though. Druid is receiving some pretty significant nerfs to its Pulverized build. Now, Pulverized Druid was effectively unkillable and also did a shitload of damage. This meant that Druid basically had one build, Pulverized Druid. Now, they're bringing up some of their other builds. Their non-Werebear builds are being brought up a little bit, for sure. But Werebear is seeing some tone downs. Now, first off, the chance for Pulverized to lucky hit has been reduced from 33% to 25%. If you don't know what that means, every ability has a chance to proc lucky hits. So if something says lucky hit 10%, Pulverized with a 25% lucky hit would then get a 2.5% chance to proc that lucky hit. Everybody get it? Werebear was not actually supposed to be the lucky hit build. That's supposed to be Werewolf. So Pulverized having that high of a lucky hit chance was, and that is high for an AoE ability. So yeah, Werebear having that high of a lucky hit chance was a bit weird. Lightning Storm has had a damage increase from 32% weapon damage to 40% weapon damage, so its damage has gone up by about 1/3 of what it used to do. So Storm Druid, definitely seeing some help there. Grizzly Rage, the damage bonus has been increased from 5 to 15% to 6 to 18%. A little bit more damage than for Werebear, but we'll see here. The class specialization, Obsidian Slam, that was every 10 kills you got an overpower. So that's been changed from 10 to 20. So no longer can you overpower into a pack of enemies, kill 10, to get another overpower again, and then just use that to like obliterate everything out of human existence, because Werebear Holy Power was, yeah. Come Before the Storm, that's just a class specialization. I'm not going to go too much over it because people who don't know what that is, you know, most people still don't own this game, right? So Come Before the Storm, the lucky hit chance has been reduced from 15% to 10%. If you know that is great. Okay, so these are the passive changes. Electric Shock, the damage bonus increase from 5 to 15% to 6 to 18%. So actually, okay, so I'm assuming this is some lightning skill. I'm going to be honest, lightning has been so bad. Lightning has been so bad that I don't even know what that is, and I play Druid. Okay, so then we have legendary aspect changes. Now I went to look these up because there's a lot of them, and I'm sorry, I don't actually have every single aspect memorized. Okay, they are not. Shockwave aspect, legendary aspect changes, shockwave aspect. Well, I'm in Druid and I can't seem to find Shockwave. Well, Shockwave aspect is its damage reduced from 90 to 130 to 60 to 130. I'm 90% sure, because I did see that in game, In fact, I'm more 99% sure that was whenever you pulverized, it would send a shockwave forward with the damage of pulverize. So instead of 90 to 130%, aka you could get more damage than pulverize did shockwaving forward, you now get 60 to 100%. I'm 99% sure that's what it is, because I did see that in game. This is the one thing I do know. Okay, so basically pulverize got its legendary damage nerfed. Now Crash Stone aspect. Hopefully they have this one. They do not. This website apparently does not. Oh, they have this one. That's weird that it wasn't finding it earlier. Okay, Crusher. Earth skills deal more critical strike damage to crowd control enemies. Okay, so this is for the Earth Werebear synergy that was happening. If you combine Earth skills with Werebear skills, it ended up just being extremely top tier. So this is the second nerf they're getting. Critical strike damage has been reduced from 40 to 50% to 30 to 40%. So damage nerf on Shockwave. This nerfs damage on Pulverize. This nerfs critical strike damage. This nerfs the ability to get back to overpowers. And lastly, Lightning Dancer's aspect. This is probably another buff to storm builds because they were pretty goddamn terrible. As I said, I literally didn't even bother to look at them, and this is why I don't know what they do, because they were so terrible. They were literally not even worth looking at. So this is another buff to storm builds. So this is Lightning Storm. Critical strikes spawn 3 dancing bolts that seek enemies in an area. Okay, so Lightning Storm, its aspect has been buffed pretty substantially, seeing about a slightly more than 1/3 damage increase to this aspect. So Storm Druid up, Werebear Druid down. Now do note that despite having a nerf to an Earth aspect, it was only an Earth aspect that was synergizing with Werebear. So Earth is the same, Storm is better, Werewolf is the same, Werebear worse. Not significantly worse, other than the ability to generate overpowers on AoE, but still worse. Not as bad as Barbarian got, but they did get it pretty bad. Necromancer is seeing basically across the board buffs. I, to be honest, wasn't that surprised by this one. There was some things that Necromancer could do. I was kind of on the fence if this was going to scale to late game, particularly as I started to see how late game was shaping up. I thought, well, you know, maybe if you did this, Necromancer could do good. Now, I suspect that Necromancer plays out differently than a lot of people think. They want you to be resummoning your minions. They do not want your minions to sit there, tank forever, and for you to go AFK. They want you, they need you, they physically beg you to resummon your minions mid-fight. You're supposed to be summoning endless waves of skeletons into endless waves of demons. Do you guys it? Okay. With that said, they still found it underpowered. Okay. Bloodlance has seen about a pretty good chunk increase to its damage. So Bloodlance, just by default, just baseline is seeing a pretty significant increase to its damage. Not like, oh my god, it's doing 50% more damage, but is what, like 20%? Yeah, it's about like a 20% damage increase on Bloodlance. Army of the Dead is seeing its damage go up by 50%. So Army of the Dead will literally deal 50% more damage, and its cooldown is being reduced from 90 to 70. Bloodwave is seeing another pretty substantial increase to its damage, about a third damage increase to Bloodwave. So Blood Necromancers are making out like bandits here, but you know, it remains to be seen if they were ever that good. From what I understand, they were really overpowered, so then they got nerfed pretty hard, and now they're kind of toning them back up. I don't know if that's right, but that's what I heard. So Blood Necromancers are going up. Now we're going to see some passive changes here. Okay, so passive changes. Shadow Blight, damage increase from 20% to 22%. Grim Harvest, essence gain reduced. This is, I think, the only nerf. Oh no, there's another nerf over here. So Grim Harvest will generate less essence. Serration, critical strike chance reduced from 0.5 to 1.5% to 0.3 to 9%. So less critical strike chance, less essence generated by passives. I'm not going to go too far over these because if you know what they are, you know what they are. If you don't know what they are, it's probably not going to help this early before most of you even own the game. Death's Defense. Okay, this one was really important. Basically, this is the maximum percent damage that a minion can take in a single hit. So a minion took a 10 trillion damage hit from God who ate the sun and hit them with the power of 10 billion nuclear explosions. The maximum health they could still lose was 45%. That is being changed. So basically, from this passive, your minions could only lose 75% to 45% of their health in a hit. Now that meant that minions could live through 3 hits, because they would take 45%, 45%, end up at 90%, then take one more hit and die. That's being changed. They will now only be able to take 60 to 30%. That means minions can now last 4 hits. 30%, 30%, 30%, then they'll be at 10%. Last hit kills them. Okay. That does mean that healing minions, as you get later and later in the game, healing minions should be more viable. I had heard from a lot of people that it was pretty difficult to keep your minions healed up, but because now the maximum damage they can take in a hit has been reduced from 45% to 30%, that means non-tank minions should be more viable, aka minions that you're bringing to deal damage. Again, you're still going to have to be resummoning them, but they can take an extra hit before dying, and healing them should be a bit more viable. Now, Skeleton Warrior attack damage has just been straight increased by 10%. Golem attack damage has been straight increased by 10%. That obviously doesn't affect Skeleton Mages. Obviously, I hope you guys understand this. But Skeleton Warriors and Golems will deal more damage. In addition, Blood Golem is seeing a pretty big buff here. Blood Golem life drain damage has been increased from 40% to 90%. Then the life healing from enemies hit increased from 4% to 5%. So Blood Golem, in addition to dealing more damage on his he'll heal more and deal significantly more damage. Iron Golem is seeing a really insane buff. Iron Golem slam damage increased from 25% to 175%. That is a jeez, what is that? That's a 8 times. It's doing 800% the damage it used to now. Iron Golem shockwave damage increased. Shockwave damage increased from 30% to 40%. So in addition to that, in addition to slam going up 800%, shockwave is going up 33%. Now this is for the Paragon board. That's your late game Paragon board. That's like your little thing. I'm not gonna go too far into it. If you know what it is, you know what it is. Hulking Monstrosity. Golem life and damage bonus increased from 30% to 40%. So, Golems will scale better on the Paragon board than Cult Leader. I don't know what that is. It sounds like something that buffs minions. If I'm wrong, make sure to tell me. I'm terrible at my job. But that sounds like a damage increase to minions from Cult Leader. That's going from 10% to 15%. So, Necromancer is seeing significant buffs to its late game. Significant buffs to its late game scaling. Blood and minions seeing rather substantial buffs. Now, Rogue, I forgot Rogue is also seeing rather ridiculous nerfs. Well, I don't mean ridiculous as in unfounded, I mean ridiculous as in fairly large. I did notice early into the betas that even by level 20, Rogue was getting a bit absurd. Correctly, I assume that, and they are getting a bit absurd. So basically, Twisting Blades can reduce the cooldown on your other abilities. The problem is, as you start to get a cooldown reduction into the late game, as you start to get cooldown reduction, as you start to get more abilities, and as you start to slot in defensive abilities or offensive abilities or CC or stuff like that, Twisting Blades started to get broken. You could just chain combo down the enemy mobs, and there was not really anything the mobs could do. So Blizzard could go ahead and reduce Rogue survivability even more, make them get like one shot even harder, but it wouldn't really matter. They can make the enemies do more, but it didn't really matter. So the amount of cooldown reduction you get from Twisting Blades, I'm not going to read the actual numbers, but effectively it is getting slashed pretty hard. You still will be able to reduce cooldowns with it, which, you know, once you get ability haste, or not ability haste, cooldown reduction, once you get cooldown reduction and things like that, Twisting Blades should still be good. It just shouldn't be kind of breaking the game fundamentally in its core aspect. Okay. Rapid Fire is getting its damage increased from 24% to 30%. I used Rapid Fire in the beta and it was pretty goddamn bad, so this doesn't surprise me. Dark Shroud, damage reduction per shadow gained from skill points, reduced from 0.8% to 0.4%. So in other words, Rogue should be squishier. Rogue should hopefully actually not be tanky enough to survive through multiple, you know, whacks to these cranium. I mean, if you build defensively, Rogue should still be able to, you know, take hits. It's just they didn't like how tanky Rogue was getting. Enhanced stance, critical strike damage bonus from 20% to 15%, so Rogues should crit less hard. Caltrops damage increased, that makes sense. Caltrops looked pretty goddamn bad when I played them in the beta. So Caltrops are getting a 33% increase to their damage. Concussive, that's their passive. Critical strike chance reduced from 5 to 15% to 4 to 12%. I don't remember what this passive even did, but Rogues will now crit less. Again. Legendary affix change, repeating. Okay, this is a, I hope they're here this time. Aspect of repeating. Rapid fire is a 25% chance to ricochet into another target. That is being, I don't know when I scrolled up. When did I scroll up? I'm blind. There we go. I'm like stupid. Repeating. Maximum minion loss in a single damage instance reduced from 75 to 45 to 60 to 30. Okay, so the legendary affix, that's a legendary item bonus to Rogue's repeating skill has been nerfed. Minions, I don't think they put in the right patch note here, because this is just the Necro. That's why I was getting confused. This is the Necromancer change from earlier. So I think they typoed in the wrong change. I'm not sure what to make of that, because that is not at all what that ability does. So unless Rogue minions will now take a maximum of 30% damage after you put 3 points into your legendary item, I'm not sure what to say. Okay, Sorcerer is also seeing some nerfs, not huge ones, just little bit ones. The lucky hit chance on Arc Lash has been reduced from 30% to 14%, going down to slightly less than half of what it be. Glinting Arc Lash cooldown reduction reduced from 0.25 to 0.15, so Arc Lash pretty hard nerfed. Teleport also, Shimmering Teleport, after using Teleport you would get damage reduction for 5 seconds. That's been reduced to 3 seconds. So they want, effectively, what the two changes here, like they're okay with like the tanky classes being tanky, but the tanky classes and builds shouldn't just outright be unkillable, and the squishy classes shouldn't be able to slot in some survivability and then be tanky. Do you get it? So wizards shouldn't just have 5 seconds of damage reduction. They're down to 3 seconds. Now, aspect of control. This website makes my job a lot easier. Aspect of control. You deal more damage to immobilized, stunned, or frozen enemies. That has been reduced from 30 to 40% to 25 to 35%. So just a damage multiplier that sorcerers have got nerfed by a little amount. Okay, this is another change for Druid minions and Necromancer minions, but reasonably just Necromancer minions, because Druid wolves have an issue that they're terrible, and this isn't going to do anything. They're going to need to see a little bit more attention paid to them. Maximum damage over time taken per damage instance reduced from 2% to 1%. So basically, if your minions are dot, instead of taking 2% health damage at maximum, they now take 1% health damage at maximum. In other words, as you start going later into the game, or even earlier in the game, your minions being dot up should not, it will literally drain them half the amount of health they used to have. Okay. Now, these are Paragon board changes. Paragon board has been pretty much nerfed because people were stacking attack speed and survivability and getting absurd. Player attack speed nodes reduced by 50%. You will now get half the attack speed from the Paragon board. In addition to that, on glyphs, those are like the little sockets you can put in there that would help scale you. Those evidently ended up being a little bit overpowered. All glyph bonus scaling has been reduced by 34%. So if you got 2% bonus damage from a glyph bonus, now it's 1.4%. Now, you could get a lot of those bonuses. So for example, I logged in. When I logged out, I was getting 6% damage bonus. I'm now getting 3.8% damage bonus from the glyph I had. I only had a few things, so that's just my personal example. Critical strike damage glyph bonus reduced by 66%. Vulnerable glyph bonus reduced by 66%. Glyphs bonus to rare nodes reduced by 50%. Glyphs bonus to magic nodes reduced by 40%. Glyphs bonus to cold, fire, lightning, non-physical, physical nodes reduced by 62.5%. In other words, the Paragon board's been nerfed to be significantly less scaling, and hopefully, rather than the game rather than the game slowly getting easier as you continue to level up past 50, it should now not get easier the more you level up, but actually get harder as the game was intended to get. There was an issue, some of you might have noticed, that the further you leveled up after 50, the game got easier, and there's kind of like a snowball effect where whoever, in like these races that people were doing, whoever got 50 first and started leveling first would actually start increasing their lead over the pack, is what, at the very least, that's what I noticed. So, yeah, there's like a rogue player who got like 50 early, and then like he was like 60, then he was 70, then he was 80, and it's like, what? So, monster changes significantly reduce the spawn rate of treasure goblins within PvP zones. Bug fixes, just some small bug fixes here, nothing big. So that's the patch that just came out. What do you guys think of this patch? I like it. I like it a lot. I hope patches like this continue to come out because S tier builds, in my opinion, ruin ARPGs and have ruined them for a very long time. I've complained about S tier builds forever. That's literally why I stopped playing Path of Exile, because it was really boring and continues to be really boring when all you do is run into a room, kill everyone in the room. I will continue to make this complaint forever. It is really boring when you run into a room, kill everything in the room, run into a next room, kill everything in the room. And I'm talking like you use like one ability. The joke I use is you throw your hammer that hits an enemy, splits into 3 hammers, which then fly into the sky, summon a fall of hammers. Then each hammer that hits an enemy splits into hammers, which hits every enemy. And because you're using 19,000 different versions of damage multipliers, every hammer kills a god. So you've killed 9,000 gods by throwing one hammer. And then everything in the room, boo! And you see a bunch of numbers, and then you move on to the next room. That's boring. I don't like that. I think that ruins the game, makes it way too easy, makes it boring. Honestly, boring is the biggest way I would have to put it. I don't like it at all. I like that they're paying attention to some of the underperforming classes as well. I definitely feel that as much attention is played to S tier classes, that, you know, there's not really that much variety in this game. So they should definitely make sure that the little variety that is in the game, because, you know, they kind of needed to add more abilities to the game. I think a legitimate complaint some people have is the game kind of did not launch with that much variety, right? And so they should definitely take the time to make sure that the game has variety. The 6 legendary nodes at the end of each class, so effectively the 6 different ways you can play each class, should all be viable, just as a base. I'm not talking about you know, weird things you can do. I'm sure there's more than 6 ways to play each class, yes, but the weird things you can do should all be viable. At the very least, I shouldn't say that. The weird things you can do shouldn't all be viable, but at the very least, we should have, you know, 5 times 6, so 30 different builds and ways to play the game that should be viable. So they should continue to pay attention to that. So that's it. Thanks for the video. That's it. You guys can thank me for the video. I have ADHD. I am sorry. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for being here. Make sure to leave a like. Make sure to leave a comment. If you don't care, that's fine. But I hope you all enjoyed watching. I enjoyed doing this. Obviously, I will continue to do this for other games because I like patch notes. I really like patch notes. Don't ask me why, okay? So thank you guys for watching. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Goodbye.